There's a pattern that has been placed upon those that have gotten caught in the darkest of the dark, in the distortions. They've gotten caught in the distortions. And the thing is that which is the divinity is always calling out and pulling at you, is always tugging at you, telling us which way to go. Now you may try to push it and distort it and whatever, but there's always something going on there. You may not recognize what it is or be able to interpret what the feelings are, but it's always there. So when we experience things in our life that are not in balance with divinity, both the divinity that is within, that is of us, and the macro divinity that moves through all, we have those uncomfortable hiccups. And in order to be able to maintain the darkness and build upon those distortions, there had to have become a mechanism by which to facilitate or deal with that pulling. So when you encounter a distortion and there's a desire to bring it into balance, and it's calling out that this needs to be balanced, but you are not actually in divinity, and something is preventing you from balancing in line with divinity on purpose, they have constructed this thing whereby they want you to just move past it, let it go, forgive. They have all these terms and expressions, and they're saying it's past in the past, move forward. You have to keep living. They do all these things to try to get you to not focus on that which is saying, you need to look at me, you need to focus on me. And they get you so busy in such movement and momentum that you're not allowed to focus on it at the time, because just something's not right here, and not be able to look deeper into what was wrong. If you have things that in your past, as you are now realigning to divinity, that are now saying, we're now realigned, but there's these little pockets and bits and things here of things that have occurred, and they weren't allowed to align to divinity before. It is not so much that we have to move past them, get beyond them. It's more of we need to recognize that the situation that we were in and what was occurring around that situation was not in line with divinity, and that it was seeking divinity. It was seeking that balance to come back. And it's only because that balance was not allowed that distortions occurred, and those distortions sometimes would cause us to amplify things that were outlined with divinity. So you could say, for instance, a child whose parents use physical punishment, or with the withholding of love or well-being, for this holding back, say, okay, you're not going to have dinner. I'm going to cause you to feel pain, discomfort, because I didn't like your behavior and I want to control you. Okay? A child that the parent who uses that kind of treatment to the soul, that child is going to have a sense of weakness, and I can't bring myself in line with divinity. I don't have the power to do that. And somewhere in that child's life, that child may also lash out and in distortions, because they were held in distortions that they did not want to remain in. What happens is that as you are brought and you have become comfortable in realigning your divinity, all of those things and places and all of the lives and experiences that you have had, it's sort of like a ripple. A ripple runs through your soul and all those experiences, giving them the realigning them. We are not just going to be realigning in the here and now moving forward. There is going to be a rippling. It is a funny thing. I'm going to try to explain this because in your movies and stories and ideas, you are very obsessed with time moving linearly, and that even if you go back in time, it goes back linearly. How can I explain? The linear timeline which brought you to this point has to exist, but at the same time, as you heal, you can also heal backwards. But the same linear timeline that brought you to this point with the realizations, there is something that is a knowledge that is maintained. Let me see how I can explain this in a way. Okay. You have heard of the expressions of mythologies and stories and parables and things. And sometimes there is a storyline, a mythology storyline, that is held by many cultures. Though it may have its own tweaks for each culture, but it's the same basic outline of a storyline. And it has a parable of what can be learned from it. What will occur is going to be like this. Of the soul will heal both now, and the ripples of healing and realigning to divinity, both in that of the soul and in the macrocosm of creation, will bring a ripple healing throughout all. But there will remain a deja vu mythological storyline memory within the universe of the souls and the multiverse of this. Now, I do not know if you are familiar with the concepts and ideas of the Akashic Records. You have been there before. The Akashic Records that you are familiar with within the universe of the souls is the records of the universe of the souls, Akashic Records. Okay. But there is something of a similar type of nature that exists at the divine realm, that these stories of what has occurred and is occurring and the different timelines that could have unfolded in their eventualities are recorded in them, sort of like all the mandala effects are being recorded as though they had occurred in these mythologies that become known, so that we do not follow the same paths, even though in the experience of the souls, that which is an experience is going to be healed and balanced. I believe we are getting, yes, we are probably getting beyond that which can be conceived of there. There is a broadening and the expression is becoming more comfortable and familiar with that which is more of her, and so she is beginning to see and feel comfortable in that which has no explanations and understandings. Easily there. There may be some that can have some concepts of this, but from your experience, there is going to be a healing and a rippling in all directions. It is going to be, it is not a moving past. Because moving past is very much an element of ignore it and let it remain. That is not what we are doing. If it as long as it remains, it cannot heal. It is like a thorn. If the thorn remains, or shrapnel, if the shrapnel or the thorn remains in the body, though the body may put scar tissue around and heal, there will always be a tender spot and issues with it. That in order for it to truly be healed and in perfect balance, the thorn or the shrapnel must no longer be there. But that which had happened will be like a fairy tale. So that the lessons are still there, but the pain and the shrapnel and thorns are no longer there.